Hello and welcome to Foreign Desk on Benue Television. I am Susan Ayo. The headlines. Libya's central bank halts operations after director kidnap. Ukraine destroys second Russian breach. Plus, Elon Musk's X to shut operations in Brazil amid bitter legal fights. And the news in details. Libya's central bank has announced the suspension of all its operations after a senior employee was kidnapped in the capital, Tripoli. The bank denounced the abduction of its information technology director, Musalem, in a statement on Sunday. The report says Mr. Musalem was taken from his home by an unidentified party on Sunday morning and that other employees have been threatened with kidnapping. The central bank says operations will not resume until Musalem is released. The central bank, which is independent but owned by the Libyan state, is the only internationally recognized depository for Libyan oil revenues, which form a vital economic income for the country, which has been torn for years between the two rival governments in Tripoli and Benghazi. According to reports, this incident comes a week after the central bank suffered a siege by armed men, which is intended to force the resignation of the bank's governor, Sadiq Al-Kabir. Mr. Kabir has faced criticism over the management of oil resources and the state budget since the ousting and killing of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi in 2021. The country has continually experienced chronic insecurity resulting in the diversion by power struggles, which has produced two governments running concurrently, a UN-recognized government based in Tripoli and another in the country's east backed by warlord Gen. Khalifa Haftar. A police commander in Tanzania's capital, Dodoma, Theopista Malaya, has been removed from his post following controversial comments in which she linked an alleged gang rape victim to sex work. Earlier this month, a video appearing to show a young woman being assaulted by 5 men went viral in the East African country, prompting an outcry among the public, following a backlash and the accusation that the comment minimized the woman's ordeal. Tanzania's National Police Force apologized and said that the commander has been transferred. National Police spokesperson David Masime Monday disclosed this to newsmen. Mr. Masime added Ms. Mali's statement was only misinterpreted. In the video appearing to show the woman being raped, the suspect reportedly interrogated her, forcing her to apologize to someone referred to as Afende. In Tanzania, Afende is often used to refer to a soldier or a police officer. So many activists and social media users expressed outrage that a sexual assault could have been carried out on the orders of the member of the security forces. Ukraine says it has destroyed a second strategic bridge in the week as it continues its incursion into Russia's Kursk region. The Ukrainian military on Sunday released aerial footage of the strike on the bridge, reported to be over the Siem River in Zwartnyu. The video shows a growing large cloud of smoke over the bridge, and one of its sections appears to be destroyed. It is also, however, not clear when the strike took place. News reports quotes Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky saying that for the first time, the aim of the military incursion into Kursk included the creation of a buffer zone of top Russian attacks. Ukraine is nearly 2 weeks into its biggest attack on Russian territory since Moscow launched its invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Earlier, military analysts had identified 3 bridges in the area used by Russia to supply its forces, and they said 2 had either been destroyed or seriously damaged, and almost 2 weeks after Ukrainian troops pushed across the border into Russia, it is becoming clear that the plan to stay. President Zelensky, according to reports, revealed that The troops were strengthening position in Kursk and expanding further in Russia. He also revealed that their operations in the Kursk region is still inflicting losses on the Russian army, the state and their defense industry and their economy, revealing that the aim is more than just defense for Ukraine, but to destroy as much Russian war potential as possible and conduct maximum counter-offensive actions. You're watching Foreign Desk on Benue Television. Let's take a quick break. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. The boss of Foxtel, a majority New Crop-owned cable television company in Australia, has tendered an apology for an image suffered of him performing a Nazi salute. According to reports, Patrick Delaney said he believed he was showing the similarity between the gesture and the one used by some fans of Western Sydney Soccer Club when the photo was taken a decade ago. The report says he has acknowledged that the offensive salute he demonstrated was wrong. Mr. Delaney said the photograph was completely inconsistent with his values, beliefs and family connections. He also condemned racism in all its forms, pointing out his commitment to the Say No to Atheism letter, which he signed along with other prominent Australian leaders in the wake of unprecedented Hamas-led attack on southern Israel on 7 October. The Jewish Council of Australia has also condemned Mr. Delaney's action, describing it as deeply concerning. According to reports, Sarah Schwartz, the council's executive officer, said in an official statement on Monday that the salute is an offensive and violent act not only for Jews, but also for other racialized groups. As rioters went under attack in dozens of British towns and cities recently, some targeted businesses belonging to ethnic minority Britons. The unrest began in an aftermath of a fatal stabbing attack to Southport that killed 3 young girls, which agitators misleadingly blamed on Muslim migrants, as disinformation about the suspect traveled at pace online. Angry crowds took the streets to abuse migrants and Muslims at random. Black and Asian Britons were also targeted. On August 3rd, as many brought cars to the northern English city of Liverpool, which is near Southport, a victim, Ardalan Othman, watched in real time as his convenience shop was looted and vandalized. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was said now is probably the best, maybe the last opportunity to secure a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza. Reports say that Mr. Blinken made his comments during a meeting with Israeli President Isaac Herzog on Monday during his 9th trip to the region since the war began in October. The U.S. had expressed optimism that a deal since talk resumed in Doha last week. But Hamas says suggestions of progress are an illusion, with differences said to include whether Israeli troops will be required to withdraw fully from Gaza, as Hamas has insisted. Mr. Blinken is expected to maintain pressure on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu when he meets later on Monday. The current negotiations are based on a modified proposal presented by the U.S. aimed at bridging long-standing gaps between the Israel and Hamas. The Americans hope that they can get the deal over the finish line, perhaps as soon as the time next week. The optimism is, however, not shared by the Israeli leadership or Hamas, with which party accusing the other of blocking a deal. In a statement on Sunday, Hamas accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of putting obstacles in the way of an agreement and setting new conditions and demands, with the aim of prolonging the war. Recall that Israeli military launched a campaign in Gaza to destroy Hamas in response to an unprecedented attack on southern Israel on 7 October, during which about 1,200 people were killed and 251 taken hostages. More than 40,000 people have been killed in Gaza since then. Let's take a quick break. Don't go away. Glad you're still there. One man has died and 6 other people are missing after selling yacht sank off the coast of Sicily in the early hours of Monday morning. According to reports by the Italian Fire and Rescue Service, the yacht was flying in a British flag and Britain are among others missing. The 22 people on board include 10 crew and 12 passengers, some of whom were Americans and Canadian nationals. Emergency services rescued 15 people, including a 1-year-old child. News report says that the yacht sank after encountering a heavy storm overnight that caused water spouts to appear over the sea. A wreck has been identified at a depth of 50 meters, with divers searching for the missing people. The body of the man who had been confirmed dead was found outside the wreckage, but his nationality is yet to be confirmed, while 8 of those rescued are receiving treatment in hospital. The UK Foreign Office has said it's aware of the incident and in contact with local authorities. United States Vice President Kamala Harris is leading former President Donald Trump as she prepares for her headline moments at the Democratic National Convention. Opinion polling shows on the eve of the conventions in Chicago, Harris holds a lead of between 3 and 6 percentage points in the race for the White House, as revealed by 2 opinion polls reports on Sunday. Harris is ahead of Trump by 49 to 45% among registered voters and 51 to 45% among likely voters in two-way race, according to reports. The polls are the latest sign that Harris' late entry into the race has energized Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters after months of poor polling for President Joe Biden, who dropped his re-election bid last month amid concern about his fitness to serve a second term. Speaking at a campaign in Peninsula a day earlier, Trump criticized Harris on inflation and her previous opposition to fracking, which is popular in the state, while also launching a series of personal attacks. Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, were formally nominated in a roll call vote earlier this month. The 4-day convention that kicks off on Monday will give Democrats an opportunity to display unity and Trump's up enthusiasm among voters. Although Democrats have quickly coalesced around Harris, the Democrat nominee is expected to face demonstration over Biden administration support for the war in Gaza on the sideline of the convention. With our reports, we've come to the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Before we go, a recap of the top stories. Libya's central bank halted operations after a director was kidnapped. Ukraine has destroyed second Russian bridge. We also told you that Elon Musk's X to shut operations in Brazil amid bitter legal fights. Thanks for being part of Foreign Desk on Benue Television. I am Susan Ayo. Remain blessed.